Hello. I'd like to talk to you today about evaluating internet sources, or validating that the sources you're getting from the internet are good sources to use in your academic research. Let's talk for just a moment about the internet. Now, the internet is a wonderful place to do research. As a matter of fact, it's a researcher's dream come true. Think back to the day before the internet, and you could have spent years digging around through books and manuscripts looking for the right information. The internet allows us to search through all of this information electronically, and it's really a wonderful place to do research. And there's research on limitless topics. I mean, anything from skydiving to underwater basket weaving is available for research. It enables us to communicate worldwide. It eliminates all of the restrictions of distance and time and space and even language, because it can translate for us. It gives us a free flow of information that we can use to research our academic works or just for entertainment. And it's democratized the world's information. It used to be that power was derived by those people who had access to information, and access was restricted. Well, now that information is out there for all of us. But the internet has another side too, and we have to realize that not everything that we find on the internet is valid information. For instance, anyone can create a website. They don't have to have the correct information. They just need to sit down at a computer and put information online. It doesn't have to be right. And there's a lot of trolls and haters out there. Anybody who's been on YouTube recently has seen people that go online and just say hateful, awful, terrible things for no reason at all, just because they derive some kind of enjoyment out of hurting other people. Sometimes the internet is difficult to navigate. Getting from point A to point B is not always a straight line. Sometimes there's a lot of detours and some significant work finding good information. And there's maybe too much information. I mean, there's just thousands of websites going on the internet every single day, just giving more and more information. That's a lot. And it's constantly changing. The website results that we find from a search today are probably not going to be the same ones that we're going to find tomorrow. The internet is in a constant state of flux. So why do we evaluate sources? Well, we want to make sure we're getting the right information. We want to make sure we're getting up-to-date and accurate information. I mean, the search tools that we use, they don't know what you need. They don't know what you're looking for specifically. They're just responding to the search information that we give them. And the search tools don't know what level of understanding we're looking for. We could be looking for introductory information on how a bill becomes a law, and we find just a lot of information, but it's at a law school level of understanding that is very complicated, and that's not what we're looking for. So we need to be able to carefully evaluate those sources that we find to see if they're going to work for us. Now, you might ask why we have a big fish on the slide here, and it's because we have an acronym that we go by. It's CAARP, C-A-A-R-P, and what it's asking is it's for currency, accuracy, authority, relevance, and purpose or point of view. Let's discuss it for just a moment. The first one is currency. We want to know how recent is the information that's being made available to us on a particular website. Things change as time goes by, and you got to ask yourself, do you need the current information? If we're looking at current events, well, yes, but even things like science changes a lot. For instance, there's a website here. I found this. This is a website about dinosaurs. And I thought it was very interesting because it still talks about the Brontosaurus in this article. Well, the Brontosaurus has been changed. It's not even a classification of dinosaur anymore. And if I look at the date here, I see that it was written Sunday, 18th of April in 1993. Well, in my particular situation, if I'm writing a report on dinosaurs, I might need something a little more current than 1993 to get the correct information. So I ask myself, is the website current that I'm working on? Also, you want to ask, are all of the links up to date and working? Because that's a really good indication as to how long the website has been online, is whether all the links work. And many times you can scroll to the bottom of the web page and see when it was posted. Was it posted recently, or what is it edited recently? Those dates should be on the web page somewhere. If the web page doesn't have any dates, if there's no link to when it was created, you got to ask yourself, is this really a source that I want to use for my research? And the answer might be no. What authority do they have? Is the author somebody who knows what they're talking about? Or is it just some guy from down the street that made a website? Now, many times, you want to go to college sites or you want to go to government sites for good information, because they would have the authority to speak on such things. But what are the author's credentials or their organizational affiliations? Is this being written by a PhD or somebody who's studying at a university level? Or is it being written by somebody who perhaps doesn't have any kind of training in that area? Are they qualified to write on this topic? Is there contact information? Many times on a website you want to go see the About Me page. You want to check it and see if there's some contact information to give you a little more insight into who it was that wrote this particular website. Does the URL reveal anything about the author or the source? And by URL stands for Uniform Resource Locator. And what that is, it's just the address of the web page. For instance, many times at the top of the page, addresses end with a .com or a .edu or a .gov. And that gives you a little insight into who made the page. For instance, that last three little letters at the top of the internet address is called a top-level domain. Now, originally there were only these top-level domains. There were only 6 of them. The .com was primarily for commercial or for-profit websites. .net were for networks. .orgs were nonprofit organizations, and .gov were U.S. government. .edu was U.S. educational institutions and universities, and .mil was military institutions. So you knew if you had a .gov or a .edu email or top-level domain address for the website, you could be pretty confident that you were getting information that had been reviewed and could be relied on as being accurate. But a .com could be anything. It could be somebody just putting up a website just for the fun of it. For instance, this is a website by The Onion. If you're not acquainted with The Onion, you could look at these stories and think to yourself, "Oh, that's some interesting information." The Onion is actually it's a comedy publication. It's a farce. They make up stories. None of these stories are true, and you wouldn't know that unless you did some research into who made the site. And if you scroll to the bottom of the site, you should see some FAQs and contact us information. This would give you an opportunity to do some research. But we look at the top, and it is a .com, so it's a for-profit or website. It has not been reviewed as like a government site or an educational site. Now, as I said, when the internet first started, there were only 6 of these, but now it has changed dramatically. There is a bunch. Here is a very short, partial list of the available top-level domains now, and it's just in the hundreds. So it's important that you look at it and realize where that website came from. Who was the person that put that website together? The next is accuracy. So we're doing CAA and we're on accuracy. And you have to say, where does this information come from? Is it given with some kind of supporting evidence in the website? Does it have something that backs up what it says? Has it been reviewed or refereed? University sites many times will have peer review papers. So there are other professors who have looked at this particular web page and kind of reviewed it for accuracy. Government sites have many people who are reviewing the website to make sure that those sites are accurate. Can you verify any of the information in another source? Or did you stumble upon a website that gave you information that was drastically different from all the other sites that you've been reading, and that might be an indication that something is wrong? And does the language or tone seem unbiased and free of emotion, or does it seem as if they're trying to sway your views one way or another? And here's one that's a real telltale sign. Are there spelling or grammatical errors in the page? If somebody has taken the time to really have a page reviewed for correct information, you're probably not going to find a bunch of spelling or grammar errors in the page. Relevance. Is the page relevant to what you're looking for? Does it relate to your topic or answer the specific question that you're researching? And who is the intended audience? Who is the page supposed to be for? Is it for someone who's doing the same level of research that you are? Is the information at an appropriate level, as we spoke about before? Is it at a college level, or is it at a middle school level, or is it an elementary level? And would you be comfortable citing this source in your research paper? Does it give you the information that you're looking for? The last is purpose. The last in our CAARP, CARP, is purpose or point of view. Now, this is sometimes a little more difficult to ascertain, but we want to ask ourselves, what is the purpose of the information? Is it to inform, to teach, to sell, to entertain, or to persuade? We talked a little bit about the Onion website before, and that was to entertain. But sometimes it's a little more difficult to figure out exactly what the purpose is. And do the authors or sponsors make their intentions or purpose clear from the very beginning, or is it a little more difficult to ascertain? Is the information fact? Is it opinion? Is it propaganda? Here's an interesting website that I found the other day, and it's about one of the many purposes of one of the many types of animals that we have here in the Northwest. This is about the Pacific Northwest tree octopus. It tells the story about an octopus in our area here in the Northwest that has managed to make its way onto land and up into the trees, and because of our wet environment is able to survive in the trees. And this, of course, is nonsense, but we have to be able to do a little research and see who it is that they're trying to talk to and who it is they're trying to sway. There is no such thing as a tree octopus. Now, we could go into the FAQs. We could go to the bottom and check the About Us page. Other links, we see that it links to a lot of other pages of mythical animals. We also want to look at the top level domain here, and we see the main website is this .net, and that could be anybody who wanted to put a website together. Does the point of view appear to be objective and impartial? Well, sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. For instance, here's a site called Save the Rents, and Rennets, Save the Rennets, and it talks about these little hamsters that they're trying to save, and supposedly these hamsters are ground up and put into cheese. That's kind of gross, I know. A little bit of research though, and we find out that there's no such animal, that it's trying to make a point about animal cruelty, and that if we go to follow the links, it takes us to a PETA website, which is People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. So yeah, they have a point of view here. They're trying to put a particular perspective on the information that they're giving us. And the information originally wasn't accurate anyway, but if we follow the links, we find out that there's a political agenda afoot, whether right or wrong. They have a definite slant to the information that they're putting out there, and it gives us a little insight into the information that they're putting on the web page. So you got to ask yourself, are there political or ideological, cultural, religious, institutional, or personal biases that we're going to come into contact with when we're looking at the web page? So CAARP, CARP, gives you some insight into exactly the type of information we're after. CAARP, CARP, gives you 5 points of focus that we can look at a web resource and decide, is this a good resource to use? Is this a good resource to quote in my research paper? Is this give me the answers I'm looking for? I hope that gives you some tools and helps you out. Good luck.